Good morning as we go to the Chitas of today. Today is Tuesday, the third reading of the portion of Bahar and Bechukotai, the last two portions of the book of Leviticus. We are holding on chapter 25, the book of Vayikra, the book of Leviticus, chapter 25, verse 29. We are holding in the Titus talking about the selling of land in the selling of land in Eretz Yisrael. And in general, the selling of land is that the land can only be sold till the year of Jubilee. Whenever that falls out from when you sold the land. The Torah continues now. The Torah says there is a law of a man, a person who sells a residential house in a walled city, like in the city of Jerusalem. He sells a house in the city of Jerusalem that's a walled city. But then the redemption may take place until the completion of the year of its sale. That's the redemption of a full year. Rashi says this is a house that is a ears and surrounded of a chayma in the time of Yeshua ben Nun. That's a general rule. Also, this rule is connected like Purim, that a Purim in a city are surrounded, as it says in the Megillah, that a city that's surrounded by a wall. In the time of Yeshua ben Nun, then the Megillah reading is on the 15th day of the month of Adar. Over here, we're talking about the laws of selling property. So we have a city that's surrounded, like I said, Yerushalayim, for example. Since regarding a field, Scripture says that one may redeem it whenever one wishes. After 2 years have elapsed since the date of the sale and onwards until the Jubilee, that within the first 2 years following the sale, one may not redeem it. It is necessary to specify, in this case, the case of a house, the difference between a case of a field and a case of a house. The case of a house is the opposite. Namely, if one wishes to redeem it, it's within the first year following the sale. One may redeem it, while after that, he cannot redeem it. So the redemption of the house shall be in the first year. Yamim. What means Yamim days? The days of a full year are called Yamim. Likewise, the maiden stay of the year, Yamim, is a complete year. In the Torah continues, verse 30. So here we have exception to the rule, as I mentioned yesterday. That's the general rule of the year of Jubilee. If he does not redeem it at the end of a complete year, then the house in that city shall remain permanently in the property of the one who purchased it. Okay, it doesn't go out on Yevel. That's where you have exception to the rule. That if it's a house city that you sell a city, if you sell a house within a city, a surrounded city, then the house stays forever unless you redeem it in the year. Come on, Bais. Now she said it leaves the jurisdiction of the seller and it remains in the hands of the buyer. You don't say lay because lay, that means it doesn't have a wall. We read this is a kli and a ksiv. So it's a kli. You say lay with a vav, say it the same way, it sounds the same way, and it's written with an aleph. Mean to hand, answer the small city. Our rabbis of blessed memory say it's written in the version Asher loy chaimim. So why is it written with an aleph? Teaches us that the city does not have a wall now. Since it had one before from the days of Joshua, the law still applies. That's why the Torah says loy with an aleph. So it's loy with an aleph, and it's loy. That's why it's written. It's read loy with a vav. Now it's very hard to hear the difference between loy with an aleph and loy with a vav. But if you are into diktuk, you'll be able to hear the difference between saying loy, because loy with an aleph means no, loy with a vav means to him. So it's loy. How we say it? Vayem Hashem loy, and instead we said to him. So it's written one way, it's read another way. When we say read another way, it's read, meaning that we read it. That means the meaning of the word is loy to him. Asher loy chayim, but that has that's why it's written over here actually with a vav. Even though he puts in parentheses, kshit asher loy with an aleph. So it's written the way they wrote it, because they wrote it the way you read it. So asher loy with the vav means to him that he has a wall. But it's actually written asher loy that he doesn't have a wall. So Rashi says that the teaching of the loy that doesn't have a wall means he doesn't have a wall now. But it had a wall before. What does the Torah teach us? It's already stated the house becomes a permanent property to the one who bought it, purchaser. Safra said, even if the Jubilee year occurs within the first year of the sale, shall not leave his possession without redemption. He needs to buy it. So that's another law that a walled city, even in the first year the Jubilee fell, 6 months after he sold it, a walled city house can only be redeemed, so to say, redeemed by the owner. The houses of open cities that doesn't have a wall, as they are as Yechashev, it's considered like of any field in the land. It can be redeemed, and in Jubilee it returns to its owner. She says this is understood to render in Targum mainly the word Patsedim is meaning open towns without walls. Many instead the word in the book of Joshua, for example, says the city of open towns, the cities b'chatzereim, and they're open cities. I'll say others, they're like fields, which may be redeemed until the Jubilee and leave the possession of the purchaser reverting to its original owners in the year of Jubilee. Gedula Tialai, in an unwalled city immediately if one wished to redeem it. And by virtue of this element, they may have great advantage to the original owner than do fields. Since fields may not redeem until 2 years, so really a field cannot be redeemed in 2 years. When a guy buys a field, he's buying it for the food. So you got to let him have 2 years of value. With a house, he can redeem it right away. And ultimately, without payment. Right? In the regular time, if I redeem it, I have to pay back. I got to give back the money, the value of what it is worth to the owner who I bought it. But when it comes Jubilee, it goes back without any payment. Regarding the fields that it requires remain within the purchase for 2 years, Jubilee occurs only after 1 year has elapsed for the sale, then the field reverts to the owner for the Jubilee year. But the purchase takes back 1 more year afterwards. The case of a house in the open cities, however, even if the Jubilee occurs only 1 week, only 1 year, the house reverts to the original owner without any payment. Verse 32. And regarding the cities of the Levites, who bought the house of their inheritance. The Leviim can always redeem their land that was given to them and they sold. So Rashi says, namely the 48 cities that were given to the Levites in the portion of in the book of Bamidbar. Guvulas Elam, if a Levite sells a field of one of his fields that were given to them in the 2,000 cubits surrounding cities, he may redeem it immediately, even before the 2 years have elapsed since the sale. And if he sells a house in a walled city, he may always redeem it and the house is not transferred permanently to the purchaser at the end of the first year. So now we have a different law, and that is the law of the Levian, that even if he had a city, that even the Levian wasn't a city that was surrounded by a wall. Nevertheless, a Levi can always redeem the property that he sold from what was given to him from the Jewish nation, because we know that the Levian didn't have their own land. They were not inherited any land, the Levian. They were given 48 cities between the Jewish people. They were given 48 cities from both sides of Israel, because they needed to be ultimately a miklat, cities of refuge, and that Jews can run there in the case that they murdered intentionally or unintentionally. Verse 33, and if one purchases from the Levi, and whenever the house or an inherit city, we will leave the possession of purchaser in the year of Jubilee. With that, it will never ever stay. The house is the Levi, whether it's a city, walled city, not a walled city, doesn't make a difference. The Levi's house will always revert back to the Levian in the year of Jubilee. That's what Rashi explains. If someone who buys a house in a city from them, it will leave in Jubilee, meaning the sale of the house, the city will leave the possession of the purchaser and revert to the Levites who sold it. And it's not transferred firmly to the purchaser like other houses in a walled city owned by a Jew. So a house in a walled city owned by a Jew can lose the possession forever. But if it's a walled city that's owned by that the Levium are in, it'll always revert back to the Levi. This is the expression geula, redemption. It means purchaser. Another explanation, usually meaning geula, means redemption. Since he said the Levites will forever have the right to redemption, one might assume that the Torah is speaking only about a non-Levite who purchased a house from a Levite in a Levite city. But if a Levite purchased from another Levite, it would transfer permanently. Therefore, the Torah tells us here, and if one redeems from the Levite, meaning when a Levite redeems from a Levite, still the owner will forever have rights to redemption. So if a Levite buys it from a Levite, ultimately the Levi will go back to the first Levite. Yotza Mimcha Bais, and the house shall leave the possession of purchaser in the year of Jubilee. According to Rashi's first explanation, that the verse continues to state the house purchased by a non-Levite will leave the possession of the purchaser in Jubilee, as above. However, according to the alternative explanation, where the first purchaser was independent, he teaches us about a Levite purchaser. Second phrase here, namely, will leave the possession of the purchaser in the Jubilee. This is a separate commandment. Namely, if a Levite owner did not redeem his house and leaves the possession of the purchaser in Jubilee and is not transferred permanently to the purchaser at the end of the year, like the house of a regular Jew. They did not have an inheritance of fields or vineyards, but cities to live in their open areas. Therefore, these cities and the open areas are considered for them as their inheritance, a place of fields. Consequently, they have the same redemption rights to the fields of a non-Levite. Also, his property reverts in Jubilee, and so to the Levi, the property returns in Jubilee. Verse 34, stay migrash ereim lo yimkar. So we know that the Torah gives the Levite a city, and it gives them fields around the city, 2,000 amas around the city, 2,000 cubits around the city. Okay. Fields open like a no man's land, open fields. Those open fields cannot be sold. Because it's an everlasting area. They can sell this in the city. They can sell their property in their fields, but they cannot sell this buffer zone. So the fields in the opening of the sin cannot be sold by the temple treasurer. It means if the leader consecrated his field and did not redeem it, and the treasurer sold it in the Jubilee, the field does not leave the possession of the purchaser and revert to the Kahana. It's considered the field that originally was owned by the Israelites. And if it's sold, so now she says, actually, the Gemara tells us, this comes to tell us that if the Levites sold these fields, it would go to the Kohanim, it would ultimately revert to the Kohanim. And this we all need to learn the Gemara learns all these sukkim in different kinds of ways and what each pasuk wants to tell us. So he sold the seal to another man and may no longer be redeemed, but a Levite may always redeem his field ultimately. Yamach, verse 34, 35, if your brother becomes destitute, Mata Yadim Achli falters beside you, support him. Whether he's a convert or a resident, he should live with you. She says, and not allow him to fall down and collapse altogether, in which case it will be difficult to pick him up again. Don't wait for a person to totally fall apart and then help him. What is this? Would rather support him while he still his hand is faltering. What is compared to a load of a donkey while still on a donkey? One person grasps and holds it in place. Once it falls to the ground, however, even 5 people cannot pick it up. A person, Rashi says, even if he's a convert or resident, and if he's a resident, any non-Jew who accepts upon himself not to worship idol is called a ger teishav, and is the obligation of supporting him, helping him, the obligation to help even a person that is a ger teishav. Verse number 36. Al tikach mitay neshach. They'll never take from him interest or increase. And your brother will live with you. Asher Rabbi, God, this is one, but Torah uses 2 terms, neshech v'taibris. So that the one who takes interest transgresses thereby 2 negative commandments, neshech and taibris. But really, the Gemara says they're both exactly the same thing. Neshech and taibris are exactly the same thing. A person desire for natural is naturally attracted to taking interest, and it's difficult to stay away from interest. We rationalize it, grants him false permission because it's his money, which is lying idle, well, dead into his hands. He said, listen, I can be making money from this money. Now I give it to somebody else. That's money that belongs to me. That's not making money from me. So what is the difference if I would make money for it? I would make money from this guy. What does he do with the money? He's making money. So why can I not make money from my money? Logic. So why should I give money that I can make money from and give it to somebody else to make money from it and I get nothing from it? So it doesn't even make sense not to take interest unless you want to give a guy a donation. But if you're giving a person money to use, then he should use it and make money. So why shouldn't I also make money from it? Why should I make 1%? Why should I make 2%? I'm not going to take a lot of money. I don't need to be a loan shark, but why wouldn't I make money? I could have taken this money and given it to the business and made money. So why should I give loan money? If I'm not going to make money from the money that I loan, why should I loan money at all? I must never loan money. If I want to give a donation, I'll give a donation. But why would I loan money to somebody and I could have made money with that money? Therefore, the Torah found it necessary to say it. You shall fear God. For someone ascribes his money to a non-Jew in order to lend it to a Jew with interest. That's even, you know what? I'll do like this. I'll trick God. I'll give it to a non-Jew the money. I'll make a deal with a non-Jew. You take the money. You give it to the Jew. And I'll give you a percentage of the percentage that I make. So I'm not giving the money. I did it through that kind of a way. Torah says, I'm asking, I know it's a hard mitzvah not to take interest. And but I'm asking you as a Jew not to take any interest. Therefore, the data says you shall feel God. As you're not allowed to, the Torah says again. My business the twice. That the Torah tells us you're not allowed to take interest. Ani Hashem Elokechem. I am God, your God. I should say, we took you out of the land of Egypt. I said it's Canaan to give you the land of Canaan. To be to you as a God. Achi said, distinguish between the firstborn of Egypt and the firstborn of the Jewish people. I'm most capable of discerning and exacting punishment for somebody who lends money to his fellow Jew with interest. As it says, it belongs to non-Jew. Another explanation. In effect, God is saying, I'm the Lord your God who took you out of the land of Egypt on the condition that you keep my commandments, even if it's very difficult on you. I know this mitzvah is very difficult on you not to give your money and interest, but that's why I took you out of Egypt. For I am God, anyone who lives in the land of Israel, or anyone, it's Canaan, because the question is why it says it's Canaan. It's interesting, Rashi says this a couple of times, even though he himself lived out of Israel. And I am the Lord your God who lives, to anyone who lives in the land of Israel, but anyone who leaves it without a halachic permission, I like how they put these words without a halachic permission, is like one who worships idols. A very tough expression in the Gemara. Anyone who lives out of Israel without permission, there are certain concepts that the Torah gave permission, is like as if you're worshiping idols, and that completes the Chumash for today. We now go into the 49th chapter of Tanya. We finished yesterday a loaded Tanya, and the Alter Rebbe is going to continue this. Alter Rebbe explained the previous chapter. Since the light and light drawn down from God is infinite, saif, that's the word. If you got that word in your cheat sheet, saif, infinity, saif, without any end, unlimited. As its name indicates, saif, infinite, unlimited. Therefore, in order for the finite world to be created, the divine light had to go into the contraction. Another word you should get to know in this Aramaic word. This is a word for Narizal, and that's the word symptom. Symptom, contraction, symptom. The root word of symptom maybe is tzoyim. You can keep it tzoyim, to fast, contract yourself. This is also way. This is the only way that the finite creation could proceed from an infinite light of Ein Sof. Were to have been drawn down in an orderly progression, that means from cause and effect, as it's called Ilul Va'alul, cause and effect, then the finitude would never result, because it's impossible to go from infinite to finite. Not like a progression that you can go from infinity to finite. Because anything that's infinite has nothing to do with finite. So an infinite concept, a trillion, billion, quadrillion, whatever number you're going to go to, and one is the same, because it is infinite. So how do we go, so that Arizal says, how do we go from the infinite to a finite? The Eibush himself had to contract himself, which in Chassidus, as the Alter Rebbe explains, it means that God had to hide himself from us. He had to become an encompassing concept, not a revealed concept, a pnimist. Oida fills, and Oida Seviv, and Oida is encompassing light. It's an encompassing while still in the object. As will be explained later in this chapter, all of these contractions were the result of God's love for the Jewish people and his desire that they have an opportunity to fulfill Torah mitzvahs. Do you understand? The Dotza Kadosh Baruch Hu is Zakos Es Yisrael. As you say, the Eibishter wanted to give merit to the Jewish people. And therefore he contracted himself. The whole concept of Torah is God's contraction. And God, which means God's revelation. Because the contraction is what gives capable to what is revealed. After Rebbe, so you have the Torah, for example. The Torah is the Chachmas Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That my finite mind, I just learned the Torah, the Chumash, and I can go deeper into this halacha. I can learn the Gemara on this Chumash. I can ultimately know the Shulchan Aruch, the code of Jewish law, and the law on this Chumash. It's comprehensible to me. And I can explain to you, and I can tell you the laws, the difference between the city, wall city, which I can understand. And ultimately, we can live as Jews in Eretz Yisrael by these laws. That is, but really, it's the chachma of the age, it's the wisdom of God. So that means that in all these laws, there are deep, spiritual, godly intentions, ultimately to the level that I don't comprehend at all. And so too in every mitzvah. Every mitzvah that I do, that I think I have comprehension, and I do have comprehension, ultimately that I realize that within this mitzvah, there are things that I'll never come. And that's where we say the bracha. I do the mitzvah not only because I comprehend it, not only because I see the beauty in it, I do it because the God commanded it. And that command, I don't know why. That's what the Eibishter wants. So that's the beauty of Torah mitzvah, that within the Mamalkam, within the way it comes within the world, it's above the world. At the same time as it's in the world. And that might be its true reason. And not only that, that's a true reason, all reasoning that comes forth in anything I do comes from that truth that is above reason. Because without the above reason, we wouldn't have the reason. The above reason is God. So every created reason in the world is all part of God's creation. It's Kobodei Shamayim. So everything comes from God that I have thought and reason to begin with is a gift by God that I, Baruch Hashem, I say every day a blessing. Chonein Hadas. The Eibishter gave me the capability of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. That alone, that I have wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, is a gift of God. And I hope to use it out correctly. Now, the Rebbe now describes these contractions in general manner, and will conclude that just as God overcame all obstacles because of his love for his Jew to create finite world and creatures, that's what it says, where you see the greatness of God, where you see his humility. The Gemara says, where you see the greatness of God, where you see his humility. God, so to say, had to contract himself. Within himself, he had to define the contraction. So God, so to say, humbled himself in a way. And he did it all for the sake of a year to do a mitzvah. All for the sake for me to do a mitzvah. And because of his love for the Jews, he created a finite world and the creatures so too, as water reflects waters, every Jew should overcome all obstacles. If God can have humility, because he loves us, we surely can have humility because we love him. We should be able to contract ourselves. We should be able to put ourselves aside. and do it for the love of God. If God can contract himself, so to say, hide himself within himself, we should all be able to do the same. That's what the verse says, that the water reflects the face. So we should think about God's, so to say, God's humility, so to say, that he contracted himself so that I should be able to do a mitzvah. It's the example that Chassidus gives of the father's leaning down, coming down to the child, to pick the child up. A father who's taller than a child, stronger than a child, smarter than a child, above all, after he bends down. He humbles himself. Why does he do it? Because he loves his child. And he picks him up. We should all realize that God, so to say, bent down to pick us up. We should surely bring God closer to us. Moreover, just like God brought forth his light into this world in a manner of transcendent, orderly, and limited progression, so should every Jew seek God, not only in an orderly and limited fashion, but without limits. If God, that's where the Eibishter came from above to below. We go from the below to above. We just flip it around. Expression out to Rebbe. The Eibishter God made from the spiritual to the physical, and we need to make the physical back to the spiritual. So God goes from up to down, and we do from up to up, from bottom up. Renouncing everything for the sake of his love for him. Even limitation foisted upon him by the world's very nature should not act as impediment to the service of God, because God did it for his service. The whole reason why God made Gashmis is that we should make it Ruchnis. That's the whole reason. God wanted to that we should be a part in creation, that we should be involved. Like any parent wants his children to be in the business. God wants us to be part of this business. And he gave us the capability to be in the business of making this world, elevating this world. And that was the whole purpose of creation, to be a Dira B'Tartein, and for God to dwell in this world. And that's why we need to take the Gashmis and make it Ruchni, because that was the whole reason of creation. Why am I saying this? Because the Alter Rebbe is going to explain, because in Tzimtzum, the whole point of contraction is revelation. The point of contraction is not that it should be contraction. The point of this contraction is it should be revelation. So we shouldn't say, if God contracted the world, I'm going to contract it even more. God made the world physical, I'm going to make it even more physical. Oh, God made it physical for spiritual. So that's what we need to emphasize, because the contraction was for the revelation. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe says, even though the particular aspects of this, the nature of obscuring and concealment of the infinite light of blessed innocence, the descent of the worlds, which ultimately became a physical world, is numerous to count, and many diverse kinds. This is a very deep concept. Tzimtzum is extremely difficult concept, many levels, many concepts in it. As is known, the one who tasted the tree of life, the ones who tasted the teachings of Kabbalah. But I'm going to tell it to you in a very simple processing way. Derech klal, and in general, you want to get it into a very practical way, to the best of the capability to bring this down into a practical, simple, layman, and everybody can understand this. I'm going to divide it into three concepts. the Shalish Mina Elis Klalis, which is divided into 3 worlds. B'chal Klal Yesh Nibir, in which each world has many levels. So even you're going to divide it into 3 categories. Self-understood, each category is unbelievable, has many concepts to it. But in general, here is the 3 concepts. We can start off not from Eilam Atzilus, from the world of emanation, because that is one with God. So even though it had a contraction, still it has its oneness with God. It's still the world of unity. Where is Tzimtzum felt? According to the Kabbalah, according to the Rizal, where is Tzimtzum? This concept of contraction really felt is in the world of Bria, is in the world of creation. That's why it's called creation. That's why this world is called Bria, creation. The world of Atzilus, the world of emanation, is called Atzilus in Aramaic, comes to the world to be near. That's why it's the nearest to Ein Sof, it's the nearest to infinity, and therefore it's the world of unity. Where is creation? Begins in the world of Bria. And then we have a contraction from the world of creation. We have a contraction of this light. Like contraction means we have a divider that the light goes through. And this light now comes into the world of Yetzirah, the world of formation. And ultimately, the 3rd world, the world of action. All these worlds, what we call the world of action, is still spiritual worlds. We're not talking about this world yet. The world of action is just a world that, this physical world comes from the world of action. Yeah, Eilam Atzilus, I didn't count the world of Atzilus, which is the 4th world, which is really the 1st world. Over there, over there it's godliness and it's oneness. And therefore, a contraction is not seen. Where is the first time that this contraction is seen? Is in the world of Bria, the world of creation. So since Atzilus is godliness itself, is not considered as created ex nihilo, but rather called Atzilus, which means emanation from the extension of godliness. And illumination which comes from godliness itself. That's why it says, brought down that the Alter Rebbe had a hard time saying the word Atzilus. He would only say the word Atzi, that's all he would say. Because when he started saying the world of Atzilus, he in essence felt the world of Atzilus. He couldn't say it. Couldn't say it physically. Imagine. I don't have a problem saying the word Atzilus. But the Alter Rebbe had that problem. So I don't see the world of Atzilus. Neither do I see the world of Bria, neither do I see the world of Yitzhak, because all these spiritual worlds. But the Alter Rebbe saw it. Create the world of creation, which in general, the world of creation is the world of Shamas. It's the world of souls. Malachim Hayenim, and very spiritual, very godly angels. Which we're talking really about tzaddikim, which serve God in the sphere of intellect, faculty of Chabad, which are clothed in them. That's so it's also the world of Talmud. The world of Talmud. The world of Jewish Teresh, the world of Teresh Balpeh. The world of wisdom, the standing of the Torah. Godliness is revealed in them in an intellectual manner, through the 3 intellectual faculties of Chachma, Bina, and Das. So over there is the revelation of Chachma and Bina, and Das in the world of Bria. We must seek him, and they, the souls and the angels, apprehend them and receive influence from them for Chabad, which illuminates in the world of creation. But that's a person that understands the Torah over here in this world. He has a comprehension of Torah then he has the capability to reach up to the world of Bria. Now, as he lives in this world, and when his neshama goes, it's 120 years. So in order to create a world whose creations are not wholly nullified to God, ultimately it's intellect. As the case of Atzilus, but are capable of knowledge and comprehension. And it will be noted that comprehension entails an awareness of one's own being. In the comprehension proposed, an entity who is comprehending. And therefore, ultimately, it's based on their knowledge. You know, it says like Moshe Rabbeinu was Olam Atzilus. He was the soul of Atzilus. Higher than today, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai is also soul of the world of Atzilus. And therefore, his soul is totally connected and one with the Torah on a level that's even above comprehension. And that's why he wrote the Zohar. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was one of Tanoim in the Gemara, whose name is mentioned in the Gemara of Messiah, one of the most names mentioned in the Gemara of Shimon Bar Yochai. He is mentioned as Shimon Bar Yochai. He's throughout the entire Gemara, one of the most mentioned rabbis in the Gemara in Halacha, in basic Jewish law. But ultimately, he revealed the Kabbalah. He revealed to the world Seidim HaTorah. And such Seidim, such hidden things that most of us can't even comprehend. Above comprehension, not only the comprehension of us, but maybe even of great sages themselves that couldn't comprehend the Seidim HaTorah, the Razid HaTorah, the hidden aspects of the Torah that he revealed to us. Because the soul came from the will of Atzilus. And that's why they're called Bnei Aliyah. Very high level souls. Extremely tzaddikim gemurim. Tzaddikim gemurim, complete righteous people. As the Alter Rebbe explained in Tanya, that there's not a very few tzaddikim gemurim, complete righteous people. There can be a lot of tzaddikim in the world that are not completely righteous, but tzaddikim gemurim, complete righteous people, there's not that many. And therefore, in that world, in the coming from the world, that's why in the world of Bria, before the world of Bria, there needs to be a great contraction. Because even in Bria, with its intellect, it's ultimately human intellect. And in comparison to something that's above the world of Atzilus, there's a great contraction between the world of Atzilus, a world that is oneness with God, totally nullified to God. That my seichel, my intellect is nullified to the Eibishter. And even though I have intellect, I'm still nullified to God, totally nullified to God. Like Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, or Moshe Rabbeinu, the Torah calls Ish Elikim, a godly man, not anybody else that has this name. Ish Elikim. And therefore, to come from the world of Atzilus, the world of emanation, to come into the world of creation, there's necessarily a powerful contraction in Iskalel. A mighty contraction is in order to ensure that the light of God that manifests in Atzilus should be hidden. That only a contracted form of life should be illuminate and create creatures of the world of Bria. So that world of Bria would have the Neshamos and Tzaddikim that can have the knowledge of God. And ultimately all of us have the knowledge of God. Imagine we can have the knowledge. The Eibishter gave us the capability to have his knowledge. Can you imagine the contraction to the true knowledge of God? To the knowledge of God that me and you comprehend? It's a far, far behind. That's why ultimately the prophet says, all your knowledge is not my knowledge. All your thoughts is not my thoughts. Ultimately from Bria to Yetzirah, from the world of creation to the world of formation. To the world of Yetzirah, a world far lower than Bria to be created, there had to be another powerful contraction. Because now we go from the world of understanding, the world of Chabad, wisdom, the world of intellect, to the world of emotion. Contraction, big separation, different reality, two different worlds, intellectual and emotional. And ultimately, it's in the human being. The intellect and emotions are two different worlds. With the minute portion of light, that is the relation of light found in Atzilus, which clothes itself in the world of creation, is still a category of infinite in relation to the world of Yetzirah. So that's why the light that comes into the world of Yetzirah is like physical to the world of Bria. That's how far distance it is. Just like the light that comes into the world of creation is like finite to Atzilus, to the world of emanation. It's finite. So too is the world of formation. Comparison to the world of creation. Finite. And the world of creation is infinite to it. Because its light in the world of creation is so much greater. Light of God there in comparison to the world of creation. And it's unable to close itself. The latter, except through contraction again, has to, so that Bria, the world of creation, can come into the world of formation. There has to be a contraction. It's like another world. That's called another world, even though there's no physical world. It's considered like a whole new world. No comparison, almost like no comparison between them. One is infinite and one is finite. The Chaim Yetzirah Yetzirah is so true for the world of formation, ultimately the world of action. There too, the world of Yetzirah is considered limited, to unable to descend into the world of Asiya. It needs to be contracted. And now the world of Asiya, it looks up at the, so to say, to the world of Yetzirah, it looks like, wow, that is infinite. That is infinite in comparison to the world of Asiya. An elaborate explanation of these contractions is given elsewhere in order to make them more accessible to poor al-sechleino hadal, to our core intellect. So the Alter Rebbe already said that we have very poor intellect. Hadal is poor. Al-sechleino hadal. I'm giving you this an understanding, but trust me, this is very deep concepts, and we're very limited. We have to know one thing, and that is Tachlis Kolatintum, the purpose. The Jew doesn't ask why, yes, what? What is the purpose of all this whole concept? Is all for one concept. It was all there to create this, me, Zalman book, it's my material body. He was to create all these things that ultimately the world of action, Olam Asiya, would come down into this physical world, this chumistic world, this human body. And so why did God wanted that this physical human body should come down into the world? Is that I, and they used to put an neshama in me, that I would be able to elevate my body. That's the whole purpose. In essence, truthfully, if I don't do that, I've missed the whole purpose. I've not only missed my purpose, I've missed the whole purpose of Elam Asiya, Elam Yitzida, Elam Abriya, I missed the whole, been out of the whole game. As the Rebbe would tell us, that you're not here as a spectator. Maybe she didn't bring us down here to be spectators. We're down here to play the game, part of the purpose. If you came as a spectator, then what was the purpose of you? The Abish doesn't need spectators. The Abish just send every neshama down here in a physical body, and every physical body is separate, and every person is different. So every person would change another gashmis thinking thing in this world. You realize that everything, the Torah says that every person is created in his own image. That means nobody, that means if I don't rectify myself and I don't elevate myself, then that will never be changed in the world. That's for sure. Because nobody can change me but me. So if I don't develop myself, if I don't work on myself, to develop myself, to elevate myself, then this physical thing in the world that came in this world will be a so to say a waste. Because nobody else can do it. And it was here for this amount of time. And it needed to be developed, it needed to be worked on. I should have worked on it, I didn't do it. So I might have done 100,000 things in the world. I didn't fix Chelki. I didn't fix my little part of the world. What's my little part of the world? Me. My little part of the world is me. That's why the Gemara says a very interesting expression. Fix yourself. That's your chelik. Something else in the world might not be your chelik. I know which is my true chelik. What's my true chelik in this world is me. Is myself. And the Eibishter gave me my body and my nature and my character. And that's who I am. So really the first thing I need to fix is myself. Because fixing myself is why God brought my neshama to the world. And once I fix myself, I can fix the whole world. First, I need to fix myself. Because surely myself, nobody else can fix. So maybe somebody else can fix the world, but myself, nobody else can fix. And that's really why I came down to the world, to fix myself. So that I can subjugate my own sitra achra, my own evil inclination. And to that your preeminence of light over darkness in myself. By having the light replace darkness, and even more when darkness itself is transformed into light, at which preeminence of light is felt as even greater degree. And how do I do that? By working on myself. When a person elevates his divine soul and his vivifying soul, a soul which receives its nourishment from klippus, but through man's service and Torah and mitzvahs, is elevated and incorporated into wholeness, thereby elevating the souls. Nobody can do this but me. Because my soul, my godly soul is living in my physical body. So therefore, my soul is fit to this physical body to elevate it, to subjugate it, skafia, which is subjugation, and ultimately is hapla, transformation, Gotta get to work. Together with their garments of thought, speech, and action. And all the powers of the body to God alone. As I explained earlier at length. So that's why it's important. It's not so important to go fly into these worlds, because ultimately they're above and beyond your understanding. The purpose of telling you about all these worlds, which is truly unbelievable in itself, is all to tell you about yourself, about me. He was to create all these worlds and all these contractions, all for me. That's what the meaning is of the Mishnah when it says that every person says, B'shvili nivra olam. The Mishnah is not talking about only this physical world. The Mishnah is saying all the worlds, and really the spiritual world. This world is vanished in comparison to all the spiritual worlds that God created. All was created that I, Zalman Buket, Shvili Nivra Olam. All these worlds were created for one reason, that I should do one mitzvah. I should transform myself. For this is the whole purpose. The whole purpose of the progression of Santa. That's the whole purpose. The Eibishter is waiting for me. The ultimate purpose of all these sense levels of the world to this physical world is here. That a Jew is able, through his divine service, to effect subjugation of evil and preeminence of the light. That's it. The greatness of separation. As I said many times, the purpose is I learn on separating within myself what is holy, what is important, what is true purpose, and what is there for that purpose. If true purpose to me is godliness, Torah, mitzvahs, then everything else is for that purpose. The Rebbe now goes on to say, just as God created all these worlds so that for one mitzvah of mine, or that I should be a good, He created all these worlds, and these godly worlds full for that. It's amazing. That's true. Why would God do that? Why would God do this whole thing? And the truth is, you have to imagine this happening constantly at this present time. God is all doing what for me? Why would he do that? Because he loves me. Imagine the love that God has. That's why it says in the Torah, Hafti eschem Hashem. David said, I love you. And the proof is everything that's happening in the upper worlds and the godly worlds and everything else is all for you. So God said that God's love for Jew overcomes all obstacles. That is, the worst stood in the way of creating the physical world. What's happening? What is truly happening? Might be happening in a second, but what is truly happening so that that God wanted to come into this world and give you a Torah mitzvahs? Contracting his infinite light so that the finite beings could be created. So too should every Jew respond in kind to overcome obstacles that hinder him in the service of God. Furthermore, his level of service should be not the finite, but infinite. Stop contracting. I should stop contracting myself. Stop limiting myself. So as the water mirrors, reflects the face, just as the water reflects the exact replica of one's face, so too with regard in the heart of man to his fellow man. To love one person to another results from one person loving him as well. What's the analogy? So too, just as God as a will, kaviyachol, self-understood. Kaviyachol, so to say. laid away, set aside figuratively speaking. He set up, pushed aside, so to say, his infinite light. He hid it. And he concealed it. With these three great contractions. And what did he do it for? Because he loved man. He loved man. He did it for the love of a human being. He did it for the love of me. And why does he love me? L'Adas Hashem. To raise him up. Like I gave you the example of the father bending himself down to uplift the child. This means to say God created a world in which man may serve him. And by doing so, man is uplifted to God. But how is it possible for love to bring about contraction when love signifies kindness and expansion, while contraction and concealment characterize severity? So how do you put the two together? This is what I told you before I started off this whole chapter. Just explain to you in the beginning what is going to be written here at the end. The Alter Rebbe is bothered. How do you take this guy? I'm talking about love of God. Love is expansion. And here we're talking about love of God, expansion. I'm talking about a contraction. These are two different opposites. Contraction is when a person goes back to himself. And love is when a person reaches out. The Rebbe answers. This implied with a question by pointing that we find that love too can bring about contraction. As I said, love is contraction. Because when I love you, I need to contract myself. So the contraction is a love. The concealment is the revelation. The Gemara gives an example. Expression they say, where there's love, there's place. Even though love is expansion, but when the contraction is for expansion, that I contract myself because I love you, I want you to give you a place. I don't want to consume you with my love. I want to give you space. So the expression in the Gemara, love impels the flesh. There's room. Person might be very big, but when there's love, it impels the flesh. So the flesh will not impede it. Thus, because God loves his people, he figuratively speaking set aside his great light and concealed it through many contractions, so this being so. Do you understand? The Eibishter contracted because of love. I give you space because I love you. And to give you space, I need to contract myself. And he makes space for you. Love doesn't mean that you stay there and I stay here. Love means that I can hug you. That I have space for you right here. And Eibishter also did that. He contracted himself because he loves us. Achas kama kama. Catholic can finally in case even more so, an infinite number of times and more. So if the Eibishter can put himself aside, contract himself, because he loves us, we can do the same. We contract ourselves, contract our physicality. Put ourselves aside. And we announce everything. That's not important. But nothing is important. What is primary to me is the service of God. Because I love the Eibishter. That's primary. Because I want to cleave. I want to attach myself to God. The dveika with a desire, shaker with a longing, fetza. There should be no hindrance. There's no hindrance. There's no competition between my commitment to God, my desire to God, to anything else, because that's primary. How can there be how can there be a hindrance to primary? If you're less to other things, primary too. My primary, my will and my desire is to connect to God. That's primary. And everything else is also there. But it's not there to contradict the primary. It's there to help the primary. And that's what we pray to God. We should be healthy and successful and be happy and have beautiful houses and have beautiful families. Well, of course, it's all for the primary. Not that's the primary. The primary is service of God. That's what the neshama came down to the world for. The neshama came down to the world to serve God. And then, example, the Alter Rebbe gave in another place, like a tree. A tree, its primary is its fruit. Oh, but it needs a trunk, it needs to have fruit, it needs to have branches, it needs flowers, it needs to have everything. But what's its primary? It's its fruit. And the fruit is in quantity, it's smaller than the tree. So it doesn't go in quantity of how much you have. It's the quality, it's the primary. The primary is a fruit. Even though we need the whole tree. If you don't have a tree, you don't have its leaves, you don't have its flowers, you don't have its branches, you're not going to have any fruit. But we all know that all the whole tree and the bigness of the tree and the beauty of the tree is all for its fruit. So to a human being. Oh, we need everything. We need to have health, and we need wealth, and we need success, and we need to have beautiful homes, and we need to have whatever good in the world. But why? For its fruit. What is primary? Even though in quantity, the rest of the tree, the rest of the work, etc., might be more than the mitzvah that I do. The mitzvah might take a second. So I daven once a day, 3 times a day. It takes you an hour, 2 hours, 24 hours. Not in quantity, it's in quality. The whole day is all worth for that 45 minutes I'm going to daven. But that's what I came down to the world for. That's the fruit. But that's half an hour that I'm going to learn. That is the primary. Oh, but you're only learning a half an hour. For the day, what's a half an hour? You're right. In quantity, maybe a half an hour is nothing. But in quality, in purpose does not need to have a lot. Purpose can be, as the Baal Shem Tov said, you can come down to the world to do one mitzvah. You can be in the world for 70, 80 years to do one mitzvah. The whole purpose was one mitzvah. So that's what we have to focus on, the primary. On the primary, I have to focus on my primary existence. If I can focus on that primary existence, then I wouldn't have any struggles. Nothing can even my Yetzer Hara cannot go against that concept. The second I give primary to something else, now we have a struggle. We have 2 primaries. We have 2 concepts in our lives. God and I mean, I have my physical life. I have my secular life. Also, the 2 primaries. Now we have an argument, which is greater? What's more important? That's the struggle. And therefore, we have to end that struggle. Because we have to realize, just like God put everything aside, contracted himself because he loves you. Put yourself, I can put myself aside in love of him. You're right, I'm one person in this world. And there's a vast world out there. But it's the same concept. Abish is primary focused on me. It was one of the psukim that the Rebbe wanted every person. We mentioned this in the Tanya before. God is standing upon you. He's looking at you. You're his primary. It was primary interest because he created this whole thing for that primary. Sure, you need the whole world. He created this whole world. That's what we say in the Mishnah. B'shvili nivra olam. He created this whole vast, this beautiful tree with all its branches, with all its greatness, with all its height, all that little fruit. For me, fruit. God loves me. We should love him. Loy guf, loy nefesh, therefore, no money, not your wife, not your children. The Alter Rebbe uses these expressions for self-understood. That is even more a struggle, right? Oh, I mean, my wife is primary, not in comparison to God. My children are primary, not in comparison to God. Abish is primary. Primary of all primaries. Self-understood. Your wife is next importance. And your children is in importance. No question about it. God is primary. There should not be a competition between God and anything in the world. Primary. Maybe she says, I don't want to get involved in your fight, even in your family fights. Don't mix me involved. Because that shows that there's some kind of struggle between me and your marriage, chas v'shalom. I have no struggles with anything. I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm your life. I'm true existence. And if I'm true existence, I'm your existence. How can I be in struggle, in competition with anybody? I love you personally. I have a great love for you personally. And we should be able to create that love. None of these things should hinder from cleaving to God. God said, you can have love of your wife and your children, unlimited, as nothing, doesn't change your love to me. Shouldn't change any of your love to me. I'm no struggle. I'm not a struggle with you. I'm not here looking for more time. I don't want to take you. Actually, I want you to have more time with your wife and children. When it comes to daven to me. I'm not asking you, oh, you're with your wife and children 10 hours, or you need to be for me 10 hours. That's going to be the struggle. You need to be your wife and children 10 hours, I need 11 hours. No. When you give you 50 minutes, 45 minutes in the morning, you give it totally. You focus totally. Give me total quantity of that 10 minutes. Self-understood to a physical person, you need to do more than 10 minutes. You can't tell your wife, I did quality. He wants quantity. Because the world, we all want quantity. We want quality and quantity. It's quantity is an important thing to us. Because we live in a physical world. The Eibishter, quality, soul to soul. And puts in that soul, he sets aside even the most important needs for the sake of his love. Very powerful teaching today of the Alter Rebbe. I did justice to it, but you should learn this a couple of times yourself and understand it, comprehend it through other avenues, other ways. Hundreds of teachings in Tanya today, and we should all learn from everybody. Today is Lag B'Omer, the 18th day of the month of Iyar, and the Tillim today is 80. I'm saying 88 and 89, 88 and 89, and you have done the Pitas of the day. As I mentioned, that today is Lag B'Omer, so we're going to celebrate at the Rebbe Institute is celebrating the public and to go out into the field and show Jewish pride. And we're going to go out into the field today. Everybody's invited today at 4:30 at South County Park. Come out, to the field, come out to the public, show the Eibishter, show God your Jewish pride and your love of self in the stages, great Talmid Chachamim of the past, Shimon Bar Yochai and Rabbi Akiva, and all the great tzaddikim who brought godliness to the world. We're going to show this aspect to ourselves, to the world, and everybody's invited today at 4:30 to South County Park in West Boca. Mitchum tomorrow at 8 o'clock, we'll continue to learn Itas.